Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in today's session we'll learn how to navigate our way in Adobe Photoshop. And so we are interested in knowing how it works and the basic things to do once we launch our Adobe Photoshop. So the first thing we are supposed to do is to launch the software, and right where there is the interface of Adobe Photoshop. If you just installed the Adobe Photoshop, you'd see an empty session here. But then if you've already installed it, you'll see what you've recently worked on. So let's go to new file and start the journey. Once it's a new installation, there'll be nothing at the recent pane, so it will be blank. These things you see are the paper sizes. So we have A3, the various paper sizes we know already, right? But then when you go to photo, there are default paper sizes available. When you go to print, you see other default ones. Art and illustration, you see the same thing, and so on. But then we can also create our own paper sizes. Yes. And so under the preset details, you can see untitled one. So this is the name of the paper, the name of the work you'll be working on. So let's say I want to make it iCoffee. Alright. Then we see width and height. So this is where you can input your various dimensions. So whether you want it in inches or centimeters or millimeters or any dimension you want. So even if you don't have an idea of the dimensions, you can just input the paper size into Google and you get the dimension and you come and input it here. So at the orientation, you can see portraits and landscape. So how you would want your work to be, you can select any of them. Then at the resolution pane, that is where the section that informs you on how detailed your work is going to be, how sharp your work is going to be. And so the higher the resolution, the more detailed your work, and also the higher the resolution, the larger the file of your work, the file. So it's also in pixels per inch or pixels per centimeter. Then we can see the color mode. So we have various color modes, but we'll be using the RGB. RGB is the most colorful one. Yes. And CMYK is also used basically for printing purposes mostly. Yes, so you can leave the other parameters unchanged. Then we go to create. And that's it right there. So over here you can see that the name we gave to the file is what is over here. Yes. So that's how it works. Okay, so once the Photoshop interface is being launched, there are some basic things that you'd have to set in place to ensure that your usage is very smooth. So the first thing you'd want to look at in no order is the layers, because the layers informs what's going to show or what's going to be displayed once you are done with your work. And so looking at this part of the interface, you can see layers and other things. If you just installed your Photoshop, your layers, this might not be what you see. So you can see that I've changed the position. When I click on gradient, this all shows layers. So the reason why I made the layers very prominent is because that's what's going to show how your works are being done. So let's take a practical example. So I'm bringing two images into my Photoshop. Okay, so you see I have two images. One is a camera, one is a car. And with the camera, you can see that the layer of the camera is on top of the layer of the car. And so when I hide the layer of the camera, you can see just the car. When I hide the layer of the car, you can see that the car is no more visible. Now, this is what it means. The layer which is on top of the other overlays it. And so, because the camera is on top of the car, you can see that the camera portion is on top of it. But if I change the position from the layer section, realize that the car now comes on top. So this all happens. And so if you understand how the layers work, it's a very good way to go about Photoshop. Alright, and the next thing you'd want to check is the properties. So with properties too, this is my properties. Yes, so properties, you're able to change the angle, you're able to change the color and all that. Then also the character, if you are using any text, how you can apply some effect to the text, changing the font name, the font weight, the font size, then the interval between the words, as in vertically and also horizontally, the interval between the words, and other things you want to add to your work. So this is basically what you are supposed to look at. There's also the navigator panel. If you can't find the navigator at this session, you can come to Windows, then you look for navigator. You see mine is being checked, so it's over there. But once I click on it, it unchecks it. But if I want it back, I can come back to Windows and check it. Then you see it. So navigator is basically going to display what you are doing. So let's go back to layers and re-show or unhide everything that I've hidden. Now you realize that when it comes to navigator is like a small screen of or a small display of whatever you are doing. So this is what it's going to show. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is how to import images. So realize that the images I imported, it was the shortcut method. I only dragged it into Photoshop, but if you are unable to do that, this is the simple way of doing it. So the first thing you are supposed to do is go to File, then you go to Place Embedded, then you go to where your file is being located, your picture is being located, then you select it, then you go to Place, then it shows. So this is what happens. So this is how to import a picture. This is another simple way of also importing a picture. So this one, it goes for the recent versions of Adobe Photoshop. First of all, let's clear the images we already brought. Okay, so I'm clearing them by pressing the delete. Alright, so you can see over here that there is import image. I click on import, then I click. So you can either double click or you click once and click on place to bring it. So this is a simple way. Yes, so for those of us with the updated versions of Photoshop, it's a simple way of importing a picture. But if not, you can go through the process we went through. Then let's look at how to save a file. So let's say you are done with everything you are doing and you want to save your work. There are so many ways, but let's look at this first one. So you go to the same file, you go to save a copy. Now this is Adobe Creative Cloud. That is, if you save it here, you need internet to access the cloud whenever you want to access your particular file. But then you can equally save it on your computer. Alright, now when you come here, you look for the location you want to save it, and you realize that the file name is the one we used, iCoffee, with the extension PSD. So PSD means Photoshop document. Now save as type, we have so many save as types. So should you want to save your work as a PNG, that's with a transparent background, You want to save it as JPEG, as a picture format, or any format, you can select the one you want. But first of all, you're supposed to save it as PSD. That is if you wish to return to the work to work on it. So you save it as PSD and you click on save, and it saves the work for you. There's another method of also saving. You can go to file, then go to export. So if you want to export as PNG, this is the method to use, but if you want to still go with JPEG, you go to export as. Then you can change the quality to 7, that's the high quality. If there's a format, you want to change the format to JPEG or GIF, anyhow you want it, you just select it. Then you click on export, and it exports it for you. Then you select the location, then you click save. So this is the simple way of how to save a work or export a work that you've done in Photoshop. So this brings us to the end of today's session. I believe it was an insightful one. Right, so don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share to bless others as well. You can let me know your concerns in the comment section. Stay blessed and see you next time. Bye.